Hey everybody, welcome to Psych 101. I'm your instructor for the first section. My name is Eric Cooper. And so today, the purpose of this lecture is I'm just going to introduce you to the class and the course requirements. We're going to go over the syllabus here. But before we start, I thought we'd have a little bit of fun before we start. The syllabus lecture is never much fun, but we can have a little bit of psychology fun before we start. So to begin, I'm going to ask you to do maybe the simplest thing anybody's ever asked you to do. I'm going to show you some dots, and I want you to look at the dots, but don't count them. Look at the dots, but don't count them. Here we go. So here we go. All right, maybe here we go. There we go. Okay, there we go. All right, looking at them but not counting them, right? Don't know how many there are. That's good. Let's do it again. All right, look at these dots. Don't count them. All right, didn't count them. Don't know how many there are, right? That's good. All right, we're going to do it again. Remember, look at them, but don't count them. All right, you didn't count them, did you? You don't know how many there are? Oh, you do know how many there are. You counted them. No, no, no. Don't count them. Don't count them. Let's try it again. Let's try it again. Oh, you counted them again, didn't you? Okay. All right. Well, I'm being a little bit silly here because here's what I wanted to illustrate. The process I'm illustrating here is a process called subitizing. And subitizing is an interesting psychological process where if you've got four items or fewer, there is an automatic process where your brain counts them. And an automatic process is the type of process in your brain that you can't shut off. So it happens whether you want it to happen or not. It's not something you have control over. So, subitizing is what we call an automatic process. You have to do it if you see those items. Now, the other process, when you have more than four items, and some would say five, so let's say six or more just to be safe. Well, now you've got a subsequent process, and that is a controlled process that you can use for things that are six or higher, and that you can choose to use or not use. So that's why when there are more than six dots on the screen, you could look at them and not count them. But when there are four or fewer dots, well, then you had to count them because that's the automatic process. Now, it's two different parts of your brain that do the automatic subitizing process and the one that does the counting process. And a dog or a cat, it would have the process that does the subitizing, the automatic process. So a dog or a cat understands the difference between three and four. But what the dog or cat doesn't have is the subsequent counting process that you've got in your brain that you can use if you want to count how many dots there are. So what that means is if there are more than four items, a dog or a cat's not counting them. They're trying to guess maybe which say if two piles of bones has more bones. They're going to look at how much area the pile appears to cover rather than count them. So if you had a pile of bones, say 8 bones that were clustered very closely together, as opposed to a pile of bones where they're spread apart, it's more likely that the dog would think that the small pile of 8 bones had fewer bones than the big pile of 7 bones because they don't have that counting process. Well, I just wanted to start off something fun there, just to show you that's the sort of thing we're going to be talking about here in Psych 101. We're going to be talking about the weird stuff that you've got up there in your brain that you might not have even known about. So, yep, this is Psych 101 for spring 2021, and the whole thing is online. We're never meeting in person. Nor, I've been getting a lot of questions, do you have to meet at a specific time. So the lectures are all going to be available as videos online, and you can watch them. You're going to have to be tested on them every week, but you can watch them whenever you would like to watch them, whenever it's best for you to help prepare for the test. But we'll talk about the tests later. The point is, there's nothing scheduled. There's no actual time you have to be anywhere for this class. So it's all online this semester. Now, we've got 3 instructors for the class, and the reason is that nobody in the world is actually qualified to teach Psych 101. I only know a very small part of psychology, and for the rest of psychology, I wouldn't know very much at all. And so that's why I'm going to teach the first third of the class, and then Dr. Phillips will teach the next third, and Dr. Gwill will teach the last third. So let me introduce you to them. Dr. Phillips has been on our faculty since 2014. She's a social psychologist, and she's going to be there doing the social psych parts of the class a little bit later. And then Dr. Gwill, he's been here since 1998, and he is a social psychologist. He's also a clinical psychologist, and so he's going to be doing that part of the class, and they'll be later in the class. But who you got right now is me, Eric Cooper. I got my PhD in 1993. I am a study sensation and perception. That is, I study the human senses. And I've been at Iowa State since 1994, and I've been teaching Psych 101 since 2015. So it's my 6th year, 7th year, maybe, if you count 2015, teaching the class. And then let me tell you what my office hours are, and realize these are all online, virtual office hours. If you go to the, well, I'll show you later, the WebEx tab at our course Canvas site, it'll allow you to make online appointments, and then we can meet during that time. So the times you can sign up, I got 15-minute appointment slots on Mondays from 4 to 5, and then also 15-minute appointment slots on Tuesdays from 4:30 to 5:30. And then I'm going to show you later when we go to the Canvas site, I'm going to show you where you can sign up for those office hours. Okay. Well, let me tell you a little bit about myself and how I got involved in the class. If I were teaching it in person, I'd ask how many people are here for their first semester of college, and I always get quite a few people, because that was my first semester of college too. Was I took Psych 101 my first semester of college. And so I wonder, I'm thinking about what you might be worried about, because I remember what I was worried about when I took my first Psych 101 class. I had a stereotype in my mind about what psychologists were like and about what psychology was like. And so my concern was, when I came into the class, the instructor was going to be something like this, where the instructor said, "Class, the goal I have for everyone who takes my classes is that at some point during the semester, you get to meet your inner child. And when you meet your inner child, I want you to tell them, hey, I know sometimes you're lonely and scared, and that's okay. Now I want everybody to hold hands, get in a circle. Yeah, everybody hold hands. And I want everybody to share a time when their inner child was sad." Okay, get me out of here. I thought it was going to be like a bunch of touchy-feely stuff where we sat around talking about our feelings and getting in touch with our feelings and things, and I had no interest in that at all. Well, you don't have to worry about that. I am the least touchy-feely person you are going to meet during the course of your lifetime, and there will be no touchy-feely stuff in my class at all. So you are not going to meet your inner child. You are not going to go to your happy place. You're not going to find your power animal. None of those things are going to happen during the course of the semester. Okay? So that's what I thought it was. I thought it was about clinical psychology, about people and their personal problems, and that's part of what psychology is. But as we'll talk about, psychology is a very, very broad field, and pretty much anything that your brain does is something that a psychologist would study. Now, the reason I got into this, was interested in Psych 101, is they had the person who was doing the first section of the class, this section, was going to retire, and they wanted somebody to take it over, and I was really excited about doing it. And the reason I was excited is when I was in college, I thought the 101 classes were the best classes I took in terms of the amount I learned in the class. And so I can remember I took an anthropology class when I was in college, Anthropology 101, and it was like this, like we're doing this class, where different instructors taught each section. But the guy who taught the first section was a physical anthropologist. I didn't even know what physical anthropology was. I'd never heard of it, but it was so interesting. It just changed my whole life. I never took another anthropology class, but I've kept up on physical anthropology ever since then, and he was such a great instructor that he's one of the people who inspired me to want to be a college professor. And then I took an Econ 101 class, and it was so interesting and so much stuff that I could apply to my life. And I really learned a lot of stuff in there, and so I thought that was a great class. But it can go kind of the other way too. I remember I took Sociology 101 when I was in college, and it was terrible. And so I never took another sociology class, and I've never been interested in sociology because of that class. And then I took a Biology 101 that was so boring that I thought, well, biology's boring, and I don't want to take any more biology, which was too bad because it would have helped me a lot to take more biology as an undergraduate. But either way, what I'm trying to point out is this one-on-one class is a really important class because for most people, it's going to be the only class you take. For most of you, this is the only psychology class you're going to take your whole life. And so your view of what psychology is and whether it's worthwhile is going to be very much influenced by this class. And so that's why I want to make it as interesting as possible. So that's my goal here is I want to talk about cool stuff during my section. I'm not trying to make the class hard. Always thought the instructor's job was to try and make the class as easy as possible, not as hard as possible. So I'm not going to try and make it a hard class, but I am going to try and have you learn a lot of stuff, and I hope stuff that is going to be useful to you. So I always tell my classes my goal is when I finish the class is that people come up to me afterwards and tell me, Dr. Cooper, I am fired up about psychology, because that is the whole goal of the class. And so if you see me on campus and I got you fired up about psychology, definitely let me know that. All right, let's move on. So we got a teaching assistant. Her name is Anna Law. And again, we're not meeting with anybody in person, but she has office hours 1 to 4 p.m. every Wednesday and Friday, and you can sign up on WebEx for meetings with her as well. Mostly what Anna does is answer emails for the class. That's what Anna does. Now, this is really important. The email for our class is this address, psych101@iastate.edu. And so if you have any email that regards Psych 101, that is, you got a question about something you saw on Canvas, if you got a question about the lecture, if you got a question about what time the test starts or finishes, something like that, any email regarding the class, you need to make sure to send it to this address. And the reason is because it's a big class. There are a lot of people in charge of a lot of different things. If you were to send me an email like asking, something about when you're doing a makeup test or something, well, I'm not going to know because I'm not in charge of that. But if you send your email to psych101@iastate.edu, then it will get forwarded to the right person. Now, let's say you had a question about the lecture, and that's very common. I want to get you to get your questions answered. So definitely send an email if you have a question, but send it not to me. Send it to psych101@iastate.edu. They will forward it to me. Anna will forward it to me, and then I will answer it. But I want you to send every email regarding the class to this email address, okay? That's really, really important, and that's going to be one of the questions on the first test that you have to take is where do you send every single email? You send every single email about the class to psych101@iastate.edu, please. Very, very, very important. All right, we have a supplemental instructor, Jessica, and Jessica gave me something to read to you. So, SI, Supplemental Instruction, is a free review session held 3 times a week at the same time every week. SI is a chance for you to review the course material, get your questions answered, as well as study and make connections with peer students. All SI sessions will be facilitated online via Zoom for the spring 2021 semester. An email was sent to you with a survey to determine your availability this semester. We would highly encourage you to fill out the SI scheduling survey by Wednesday, January 27th. So you got 2 days to do that. Jessica Brownstein is the SI leader. She'll use this survey to determine the best times for SI sessions and exam reviews. Even if you're only mildly interested, please fill out the survey so we can try to accommodate as many as possible. And then based on the survey answers, Jessica will choose 3 sessions a week for the upcoming semester, and then those are going to be announced on Friday, January 29th, and the sessions will begin the next week. And she told me to tell you she's looking forward to meeting all of you. There's going to be a section on the Canvas site for supplemental instruction. And as soon as she's decided when the supplemental instruction sessions will be, I'm going to update that on the Canvas site, and we'll probably send out an announcement to you as well. Supplemental instruction is totally optional. Totally optional. You don't have to do it. It's just an extra session if you want some extra help with the material and studying for the material. Okay, so people get real upset and think they have to go to SI sessions. No, it's supplemental. It supplements the normal class. You do not have to go to it. You do not have to go to it. It's up to you, but people who go to it do tend to get higher grades than people who don't. All right, next issue. All right, so the text is Psychology 12th edition in modules. It's available on the Canvas site, and I'm going to show you in a second where you can go to get the textbook, okay, or how to access the textbook. There's also a video on the Canvas site showing you where that textbook is. All right, lectures and lecture outlines. Okay, I think maybe we should go to the Canvas site. So we're going to go to the Canvas site now. This is the site for our class. So let's hope we can get everything in here. So I'm kind of trying to force everything. All right, so let's say I got some people who I know this is their first semester at Iowa State. So let's go to the Iowa State homepage. Oh boy, stop it. All right, let's go to the Iowa State homepage. And then what you need to do is to go to the Canvas site for the class. You go to sign-ons. You go down to Canvas. Boom, and then should come up with all your classes. So I have a bunch of classes here. And here is Psych 101 for spring 2021. So I'm going to click on that. Boom. All right. And then you see all this stuff comes up. Okay. And so I'm going to put it in the student view as it looks like it's going to look like here. Okay. So we got all this stuff on the side. Home page is probably where most of the action is going to be. And we got announcements. When I give you an announcement, you'll get that in an email about that, but you can come and see all the announcements for the class. Quizzes, you go to the quizzes when we have the tests, and it's not, they're not open yet, and I have to change the due dates on those. Got grades, and we got Macmillan Launchpad, WebEx, and modules there. Mostly you're going to be on the home page, though. So let me go through several things to show you what we're talking about. First thing is the syllabus is right here. So this is what we're talking about. And you want to look at the syllabus, you click there. It'll show you the syllabus, or you can download it here if you want to. Either way. All right, it's got like our instructors and the office hours and things like that. All right, and the TA stuff. And then here is the topics and things for the class. So, because this is a Tuesday-Thursday class, if we were teaching it normally, you can see the first lecture is Tuesday, January 26th. It's History and Overview. And then there's a reading for that lecture, and that is Mod 1. It says before the lecture. Yeah, I mean, I guess it would be okay for you to do it before the lecture. You don't have to do it before the lecture. You can do it after the lecture. And so next one is on Thursday, January 28th, there'll be the Research Methods lecture. And then the readings are out here, Mods 2 and Mods 3. Okay, so this is what you're going to be tested on the first week, is this lecture, History and Overview, and this lecture on Research Methods. And then these 3 mods from the textbook. Now this is a little weird, so because it's a modular textbook, what that means is each section of the textbook is written independently of the other sections, so that it doesn't have to, we don't have to assign the textbook in a particular order. And so rather than mod 1, you should think chapter 1. It's like reading chapter 1 in the textbook, but they're not called chapters, they're called modules, and so that's why it's called mod 1. And so the tests every week, you'll have a test it'll go on, start on Friday and end on Saturday. You'll have 2 days to do the test. The test will take half an hour, but you have to do it sometime in those 2 days. Well, the test will be over these 2 lectures and then these reading assignments. And then the lecture for the next week, it'll be these 2 lectures and these 3 reading assignments and so forth. And I promise I'll send out an announcement before every test that tells you exactly which lectures you need to do for the test and exactly which reading assignments you need to do for the test. And so what I would say is you should be working on, some people like to wait until right before they take the test because it's open book, open notes, and you can, redo the lectures, re-watch the lectures if you want to. Some people like to wait right before they take the test to do them, so you might wait, the test is on Friday or Saturday, so you wait till Friday and Saturday, do everything then, I suppose, or you can spread it throughout the week however you like. However you want to do it is fine, okay? So you don't have to watch the lectures on these dates if you don't want to, but this is going to be the stuff you're going to be tested on over the first week. Okay? So now I'm going to go back to home. So that's one thing, that's where the syllabus is. Now let's talk about the textbook information. So here's how to get access to the textbook. What we've got is a video here that the TA made that shows you how to get into the textbook. And so you can play this video, but let me show you what the video says. So what you do, let's say you wanted to supposed to read Mod 1 in the textbook. We go to Macmillan Learning Launchpad. We're going to click on that. All right, and then you're going to go to this thing that says Achieve, and you're going to click on that. Now, you're going to have to enter your first, last, and name and your email address to get access. I'm going to have to go out of this. I'm in student view, so I'll have to leave student view. All right, so I'm going to Achieve. And then what I got is a couple things. There are a couple ways from here to access the textbook once you clicked on Achieve. Your name should appear up here, and you can click on that, and you can say Read eBook on Vital Source Bookshelf. And so you click on that. And it takes a little while. But here it is. All right. And so you're supposed to read Mod 1. So you click on Mod 1 and boom, there it is. And you can read it. And then next one is Mod 2. And click on Mod 2. Click on Mod 2. And then you can read it. Okay? And so that's how you get access. That's one way to get access to the textbook. Another way, so I went to my name and clicked on it. Another way is to go over to Resources and go to, Resources. All right, I guess. Well, here it is. You can do it there. So you got Module 1 here. You got the modules here, so you can do that as well. All right. So either way, that's how you get access to the textbook. You can go under your name and do Read eBook on Vital Source Shelf, or you can go over to Resources and get it there. If you forget any of this, you can always go back to the link on the front page and watch the video, which just essentially does what I told you to do there. Okay, so that's how you find the different modules you're going to have to find in the textbook. Okay, now, next thing we need to talk about is we're on the home page here. You scroll down, this is where people get confused. For this part of the class that I'm teaching, the first third, you're going to spend most of your time in this folder, Dr. Eric Cooper's material. So click on that. All right, so here we go. Dr. Cooper's material has my name, my office address, my phone number. I want you to send all emails to psych101@iastate.edu. Even if you need to contact me, just send it there and it'll be forwarded to me. Okay? Got my office hours. Okay? And now here's the things you're going to need for the class. So when you're ready to watch a lecture, here's our first lecture from Tuesday. what I've got are these lecture outlines. And I'm going to click on the lecture outline, and it's going to download the thing. All right, downloaded it. I'm going to all right, and so, right, I opened it up, and here it is. Now, let me see if I can get this all on the page here so you can see it. Please, please. All right, here we go. So what you got is I've got a video of this lecture, Psychology Past and Present, and I'm going to be giving slides during the course of the video. And what I've got is I've got some of the words on each slide here, and then I've got a blank space for the rest of the words. And what these outlines are for is you should fill in the rest of the words from the lecture on the blank space there. And if you do that, you'll have complete notes for the lecture. You also might, I don't know, if I use examples that are interesting to you, you can make additional notes out here. You're going to be able to use these outlines when you do the test, because the tests are all open book, open notes. And so this is how we've set it up so it's fairly easy for you to take notes. So we didn't want you to have to write out the whole thing, but if you don't have to write anything, then people don't pay attention very much. So that's why we give you some words so you don't have to write so much, and you can write it while you're watching the lecture without having to pause, but not all the words, because we want you to pay attention to the lecture and write it down while you're going, because otherwise you're not going to understand the material. Now, I had a bunch of questions last time about whether you're supposed to hand the lectures in. No, there are these outlines in. No, 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 no. You don't hand in anything for the class. We're going to do some tests online, but there's nothing to hand in for the class. These are just your notes, so you can use them or not use them as you wish. But again, you'll be able to use them on the test, because the tests are open book, open notes, so I'd strongly encourage you to fill these out. But no, I'm not going to ask you if you filled them out, and you don't have to turn them in. You don't get any points for turning them in or anything like that. So no, you don't turn them in. People got confused last semester about that. Okay, so every lecture is like, so every lecture is like that. Okay, so I got all the lectures here. And then we got the lectures down here. Now, I don't know what the deal is. Lecture 2, there are 2 copies of it, and I couldn't get rid of them. So these are just the same thing. But every other one, it's just the lectures are right down here. And so I've already got them up there. And like I said, you can watch them whenever. But this week, the test is going to be over this one and this one. The first 2, it's going to be over these first 2 lectures here. Now, I want to show you one thing is, if you actually click on the link here, not on the video, but on the link, it's going to go to the YouTube page that has this video. And I wanted to show you a nice thing about the YouTube page that has the video. Stop it. Stop. All right. So here's the thing. If you go down, here's the YouTube page that has the video. And we go down, and what you see is, boom, I've got like the lecture outline, and I've got the timestamps for everything on the lecture outline. So if you want to go to a particular place in the lecture outline, then you can just click on this and go right there. So you can use this when you're taking the tests to go to a particular part of the lecture, or if you want to watch part of the lecture now and part of it later, well, then you can do that too. So I just wanted to point that out. And let me show you how you get access to that. You have to click right on, not on the video, but right on the link, and that'll take you to the YouTube page so that you can get all the timestamp stuff. Okay, so that's all the stuff in my folder. And so here's what you need to be working on. You should print out these 2 lecture outlines, and then you should watch these 2 lectures this week. And then there's going to be a test that we'll talk about in a second on Friday over the readings and the lectures for this week. All right, so let's go to the quizzes section over here on this side. These are the 14 tests that you're going to take during the class, and it's got the due dates from last semester, so we're going to have to change those. But you'll come here when it's time to take a test. See, these are 30-question tests, and how this works is that I've written a lot more than 30 questions. What's going to happen is on testing day, at Friday every week at 12:01 a.m., 12:01 a.m. on Friday every week, the test will open. It'll be available for you. You'll have 30 minutes to complete the test, and it's open book, open notes, but you can't use another person. You have to use just your book or notes, nobody else. And realize, because it's going to just select 30 questions randomly from the much larger set of questions I asked. And so what that means is your test is not going to be exactly like anybody else's test. So you're going to get slightly different questions than everybody else in a different order. And the purpose of that is so it makes it more difficult to cheat. So this is where you go in the quizzes section when it's time for the actual test. I promise I will send you an announcement out telling you it's time to take the test, telling you when the test opens, when it closes, and telling you exactly what the readings and the lectures are that are covered on that test. Okay? So I'll let you know that as the tests approach. I'll probably send out an announcement on Thursday about the test this week. We got grades here, and then, yeah, WebEx. This is where you can go to make appointments. And I don't know what it looks like on yours, but if you want to make an appointment with me or with the TA at our office hours, you use the WebEx link here to do that. Okay, use the WebEx link to do that. So here's a very important point. Don't get confused. Most of the action, we're on the home page of the Canvas site. Most of the action is going to be in my folder right here. You always get a bunch of people confused saying they can't find the lecture outlines or they can't find the videos. Well, you got to go to my folder, and there are all the lecture outlines and the videos. Okay. All right. Okay, well, let's go back to our PowerPoint slide. We maybe go back to Canvas later, but let's see. All right, we talked about Canvas. All right, academic dishonesty. So you get a 0 on any test if we find out you've been cheating. And the main way to cheat on these things would be by using another person. So if we find out that you've been collaborating with another student, then definitely you're going to be referred to the Dean of Students. All right, well, I'm going to give you the 30-second stretch. This is something I do in my lectures just to give you some time for memory consolidation. So somebody's talking the whole time and they never give you a chance to actually sit back and think about what they've been saying. Well, it is hard to concentrate. And so I always give 2 breaks during the lecture of 30 seconds, at least 30 seconds for you to contemplate it. So here's our first one. All right, let's get back into things here. So let's talk about how this is going to work. I've mentioned this before, but tests will be held every week over the lectures and leading for the week. There'll be 30 multiple choice questions. It's open book and open notes, but you cannot use another person. And so the tests will open just after midnight on Friday at 12:01 a.m. You have to complete them by 11:59 on Saturday. So you have almost 2 whole days to do the test. It'll take half an hour to do the test. So you need to find some place where you won't be disturbed for half an hour. All right, there are 14 total tests in the class. Only your 12 highest scores count. Now, the reason we do this is so if you have an emergency, like your electricity went out while you were taking the test, or you were so sick you couldn't take the test, or you had to go to a funeral out of state and you didn't have internet access and you couldn't take the test. You were visiting someplace that didn't have internet access and you couldn't take the test. Whatever, it doesn't matter. There are no makeup tests. No makeup tests. If some emergency happens, that's just going to be one of the tests that you drop. And so that's why you need to try on every single test so that when an emergency comes up, you won't have hurt your grade. So don't, just because we're taking the top 12 the top 14, don't say, I'm not going to study the first 2 weeks because they're going to throw out 2 of the scores. Well, let's say you don't study the first 2 weeks, then you have an emergency later. Well, now you're going to have to include one of those bad scores in your grade. So, you cannot make up a test for any reason. They are not made up. You have from 11:59 on, or sorry, 12:01 a.m. on Friday to 11:59 on Saturday every week. So the total points in the class from the tests is 12 tests times 30 points each. That's 360 points. All right, so here's an example. Who's the founder of scientific psychology? Eskenmacher, Leibniz, Ludenmeyer, Wellendorf, or Wundt. And maybe some of you had high school psychology. No, the answer is Wundt, number E, letter E. All right, about a third will be only from the text. About a third of the questions will be only from the lecture. And then there'll be about a third to 50% will be covered in both the text and lecture. That's typically how I write the questions for the tests. Okay. All right, another 30-second stretch. All right, let's get back into this. Last thing we need to talk about are your research credits. And so, a part of being a psychology student is participating in research long after you have forgotten most of the stuff that you learned in college. You will remember the crazy psychology experiments that you had to do. You haven't really gone to college unless you've done psychology experiments. So let's talk about these. It's going to be a little different than normal this semester because things are mostly going to be online. But you got to get, you're required to get 10 research credits as part of the class. Each of the 10 credits is worth 2 points apiece. So 20 points in the class is from these research credits. There are 2 ways to get your research credits. One is you can participate in research studies. I'll describe how to do that in a second. The other is you can read published articles and write a summary of them. And I'll describe how we can do that in a second. You can do either of those ways, and you can combine them however you want. You could do like some research studies, let's say get 4 of your credits through research studies, 6 through published articles. You can get them all through published articles, all through research studies, however you want to do that. And then there's also an opportunity to get extra credit. We'll talk about that in a second. So, first one is you take part in studies. And the number of credits, research credits you will get depends on the length of the study. If it's less than a 30-minute study, you'll get 1 credit. 30 to 60 minutes, you get 2, and 60 to 90 credits, you get 3. So the way you're just going to sign up for research is you're going to sign up with what's called the SONA system. And I'm going to show you how to get on the SONA system now. So I'm going back to my web browser. I'm going to go to the Iowa State main web page. Now, what we need to do from the main web page here is we need to go to the Department of Psychology. You could probably just type in, well, you have to spell it right, but you can probably just type in psychology from here. Let's see. Yeah, welcome to the Department of Psychology. Boom. And it comes up. Okay. And then what you got here is the Psychology Department homepage. That's where you need to go. And if you see over here on the right side, it says Research Sign Up SONA. Research Sign Up SONA. That's where you need to go. So we're going to click on that. And then here is where you're going to enter your sign up for SONA. Now here's the weird thing. You cannot do this yet. You cannot do this yet. You are going to have a unique login for the Sona system that you will receive probably next week. So just be patient and don't worry about it right now. When the Sona login information has been sent out, I will send out an announcement to tell you it has been sent out. Okay? So I will let you know. But just know, number one, you cannot sign in right now to the Sona system. And you need, number two, you're going to need a special login to get into the Sona system. But as soon as you receive that login, you'll receive it at your Iowa State email address. As soon as you receive the Sona login information, you may log in and start doing research studies, okay? So this is where you go, and it's going to be very self-explanatory once you sign in and sign up, how to sign up for the research studies. So let me show you where that is again. You got to go to the Department of Psychology's website at Iowa State. You can do it the way I did, or you can go to Index and P and go to Department of Psychology. But once you're here, you go up in the upper right-hand corner, Research Sign Up Sona. Also, if you were to go down here and hit Study Participants, that would take you there eventually too. But this is just the easiest way. Click there, and now you can sign in. So that's how you're going to sign in for your research credits. Okay. So, yeah. If you fail to show up for a study, some studies are in person, and so you'll have to go somewhere on campus to do them, but most studies are online, and so you can just do them online. If you fail to show up for a study, then you'll get a notice on Sona. If that happens 3 times, then you'll get locked out. So just make sure that if you sign up for a study, you show up for it, and there won't be any problems. There's also a method of canceling a study if you don't want to participate in it, but you have to cancel at least 24 hours before, and you do that right on Sona. Okay? All right, and so you log out. Now, research option 2. Research option 2. And so this is, if you don't want to do research studies and participate in them, there's another way you can get your research credits. So let's go back, and we're going to go back to the Iowa State homepage. All right, so here we are. We're going to go to sign-ons. We're going to go to Canvas, and now we're going to go Psych 101 Spring 20. Okay, so we're at the home page, right, for the class. Now we're going to go down to completing, let me show you, completing the research credit assignment. So if you want to get some of your research credits by reading articles, what you should do is go here. It's the last link on the front page of the Canvas site. Click on that. Earning research credits talks about option 1 and then option 2. So we click on option 2, and it's got this option 2 research articles here. Boom, here are all these articles. So a bunch of articles you can read. What you need to do is click on an article that looks like it might be interesting to you. It's going to download that article. Then what you need to do is write a 2-page summary of the article. Write a 2-page summary of the article and send it to psych101 at iastate.edu, where it will be graded. Now, you can only do this once a week. You can only do this once a week because we don't want you to wait till the last week and try and do 10 articles in the last week and have to grade them all. So you need to pretty much do it once a week, and April 28th is the last day that you can do this, and that's Friday of Dead Week, the Friday before finals week. That would be the last day that you can do this. So you pretty much once a week for 10 weeks, you would have to do this if you want to get all your research credits that way. Now, like I said, let me reemphasize. You can do any combination of option 1 or option 2. You need 10 credits, but you could do 7 from option 1 and 3 from option 2. You can do all 10 from option 1 and none from option 2, however you want to do it. Now, most people do the research studies because they're probably easier than doing the articles, but whichever way you want to do it is fine, okay? All right. That's right. All right, so now let's talk about your grades. So 2 types of course points, base points and then bonus points. So your base points are, we're going to have your 12 highest test scores. Remember, you're going to have a test every week. And there are 14 tests, but we're only going to take your top 12 scores. And so there are 30 points on each of those, so that's 360 points for that. 20 research credits points, remember, because you've got 10 research credits you have to get, each worth 2 points. So that's 20 points. So your base course points is 380 points. Now, instead of 380, though, what we're going to do is we will take, that should be 380, sorry, 380. What we'll do is, just to make sure so that we don't make it impossibly hard, we're going to take the 10 highest scores in the class and average those. And whatever the average of those is, that'll be 100%. But there's a lot of people do really well on these tests, so I don't think it's going to be much below 380. But that's how the top is going to be determined. And so that's if I gave it like an impossibly hard test that everybody did badly on, well, it really wouldn't hurt you because we're not going off 380 points. We're going off the average of the top 10 scores in the class. Okay, but then you have a possibility is you have to get some extra points. Now, this is the grading scale here. And so that's, again, as a percentage of the average of the 10 highest scores. And this is how you're going to be graded. So the nice thing is everybody could get an A. It's not really curved such that everybody gets over 93%, everybody can get an A. So that's nice. Okay, and then your final letter grade will be your base grade plus the increments from any bonus points. So if you want to do 10, you can get 10 additional research credits that you can use as extra credit. And each additional research credit is worth 2 bonus points. You don't have to do all 10. Do as many or as few as you want of the bonus points. And so we'll just add those points onto your base points, and that could increase your grade. They'll just be added as extra credit. Okay. All right, so here's the point, though. The only way to get points in the class is through those tests that's over the material that week. So the 12 highest scores of the 14 tests you take, that's one way to get points. And then the second way is through research credits. And that's it. We had a lot of people confused last semester asking the TA, like, well, do I have to hand in assignments? Are there other things we have to do to get assignments? Do we have to hand in the outlines? All these questions about, whether you had to, there was other stuff. There's no other stuff, okay? No other stuff, no other points besides the tests and the research credits. So if you're doing the tests and the research credits, you're doing fine. You're doing everything you need for the class. And I'm going to send announcements as the tests come up, and I'll also send announcements reminding you to do your research credits, okay? So, last thing I wanted to tell you is, and it's really important, any email regarding the class, we mentioned this before, needs to be sent to the class email address, psych, psych 101 at iastate.edu. If it's a question about the lecture, send it to that email address, and it'll be forwarded to me, and I'll answer it. So if you have a question for me, just send it to this email address, and it'll get answered. I sure am looking forward to this semester. I wish we didn't have to do it online, but psychology is a lot of fun, and so I hope that you are going to enjoy the class. All right, bye-bye.